Hello, everyone. Welcome. And this is British Council Ethiopia, and this is our first series of events, series of mini lessons, actually. Our first session will focus on giving effective presentations. My name is Tesfaye Waldemeten, and I'm an English teacher and professional skills trainer here at the British Council. Our main aims for this session are, by the end of this session, you will be able to understand important aspects of giving presentations. And our second aim is, by the end of this session, again, you will become more familiar with useful tips to improve your presentations. Make sure you follow us on our social media sites. You may join our follow us on Facebook, British Council Ethiopia, Instagram, British Council ET, and Twitter ET at ET British. Right, let's start giving presentations. Before we begin, actually, it would be great whenever there is a question, you write your comments, you write your responses in the comment box below, and we'll try and shape our session accordingly. So, the first question I'd like to ask you then is, why do we need to make presentations? Do you need presentation skills? Are presentation skills important to you? If they are, why are they important? Okay. You may comment below. Is it for work applications that you need to use it in your workplaces? Is it for your studies? Do you usually have meetings at work? And are you expected to make presentations in sales speeches, academic presentations? Whether you are studying at university or going to a high school or perhaps a college, at some point, maybe on regular basis, you get asked to make short or long presentations. And this is where this comes to play. And this is why these techniques are very important to you. So if we say then they are important, let's move on to how we can prepare to make them effective, to make you effective presenters. The first thing I'd like to ask all of you is, what do you think is important to think about when preparing a presentation? Is it simplicity and clarity? Is simplicity and are these important features of presentation? Is professionalism important? Why? How? Are visuals important? Is our environment in which we present important? So when we talk about simplicity, we need to focus on the message. We shouldn't cover things that are not relevant to the audience. Remember, it's all about your audience. No presentation without audience. So you should always consider your audience before when preparing your presentation. The relevance to your audience is key, and that makes it easy for the audience to understand. Slides and content are very important. When we say content, again, it's all about relevance, but how the content is organized is also key to clarity and simplicity. If you're using PowerPoints, make sure you follow the 10, 20, 30 rule. We often say 10 slides, 20 minutes, 30 font size. And this is often generally, a rule that, we suggest people follow. And you do the talking, that's the point, If you have 30 pages of a slide, a PowerPoint slide, the audience would just be looking at the PowerPoint, and they would just be, inclined to rely on the PowerPoint rather than you. So remember, they are there to listen to you, not the PowerPoint. So the PowerPoint should have some, short notes and key features of your presentation, and you do the talking, not the PowerPoint. The PowerPoint is there to support your presentation. You're not there to support the PowerPoint. Professionalism, and the way you present yourself to your audience is key. So how are you looking? How are you featuring? How are you talking to them? How are you and your preparation, your subject knowledge, everything comes into play here. The audience will know. You might think they wouldn't, but actually, one can tell whether someone is professional or not by looking at the way he prepared, the way he dressed, the way he communicates or she communicates with the audience. So it can be manifested in many, many ways, and we should always think about that. Visuals. When we say visuals are very important. In fact, we say they benefit us 55 to 65% in helping the audience retain what we tell them. Pictures speak 1,000 words, that's what we say, yeah? So this is actually research-based, and that they increase retention. But we have to be, they also draw attention. That in that way, people are most likely to be interested in images, and they strengthen our communication. But we should always think about how effective our visuals are, how relevant our visuals are, how our visuals are also to the standard, and no issues with the quality and things. So we should appropriately choose the visuals we use. The environment is key. When we think about the environment, the first thing is the physical environment. And when we talk about the physical environment, we are talking about the room, for example. So how the seats are organized and where you will be standing. Will they be able to view the presenter? Is it possible to make it to move around? And where can you move around? And is the technology involved? you need to think about the technology as well. And if technology is involved, then you need to think about how you can use the technology and whether you are, sure about how the technology is used. So you might need to go there physically, maybe 10, 15 minutes earlier, and prepare. I mean, check whether the facilities are working, and you may rearrange the sitting, for example, the way the sitting is arranged. And you may think about the layout and everything. So the environment is very, very, very important. Now, look at these pictures. With regards to delivering a presentation, what do you think they represent? You've got 6 pictures. What does each picture represent? These are key features of delivering a presentation. We just looked at preparing a presentation. Now we've started looking at delivering a presentation, and these are 6 key components, I have to say. Okay. All right. So I'm going to show you a list of good and bad tips below for delivering a presentation, and which ones are good tips and which ones are bad tips. Engaging with the audience. Is it a good tip? Do you have to engage with the audience or not? Entertaining the audience. Should there be an element of entertainment in your presentation? Read from a script, memorize a script while presenting. Is it advisable? Is this advisable? And moving around. Should the presenter move around to a degree to enliven his presentation or her presentation? And last but not least, thinking about your speaking speed. Is this important? Okay. You may leave your answers to this question below. See who gets it. Okay. Great. Here you go then. Except C, they're all good tips. They are good tips. We'll go through them one by one in a minute. But C is not generally advisable. You may think, when thinking about engaging with the audience, you have to consider: are you going to read, memorize, or is it going to be a conversational delivery without reading or memorizing? Which is most effective to you, or which is most applicable in your context? But you have to think about this on a presentation by presentation basis. There is no one general rule in which you have to make presentations. In most cases, the conversational delivery is the most effective one, and it can easily be personalized, and audiences in general like it. But you might also present through reading if you don't have much time and to prepare, and also you are given a limited time to present, and that will help you manage your time as well. So reading is a common one, especially as you might know that this is common in Ethiopia. Memorizing is one way as well. You might have seen different leaders of the world making big presentations, also speeches, through memorization. And eye contact is key. When we say eye contact, we are talking about three-dimensional eye contact. So you don't only look at one direction, you look at all the three directions in front of you. Of course, we don't assume that there are people behind you. If that's the case, you might move around slowly and make sure you are talking to everyone. Eye contact is important because that's where you connect with people. That's how you connect with people. When you look at people, they feel that you are talking to them, not to the wall, not to the roof, not to the floor. You are talking to them, and it's important. And people make mistake by looking at only particular people for a long time. We don't mean that. Looking at individuals, but settle look, and then move to another person, another group, and make sure you make eye contact with the audience. And this way you can engage your audience. And showing your personality is important. People appreciate personalization. People appreciate the way your character, and being yourself. And that's very important too. Your speaking speed and moving around are also key. Here we have different things to maybe look at. When we talk about voice, we're talking about not too fast, not too slow. Not only that, variety. Sometimes you might speak fast, and sometimes you could speak slower. And sometimes it could be louder, and other times could be like kind of medium. And there are some language aspects that come to that are key in this when we talk about voice, like your intonation, stress are very important. So for in this for the first case, not too fast, not too slow, or variety in general. You might say, I might give you an example in which Martin Luther King, for example, had I have a dream speech. And in that I have a dream speech, he speaks fast at the beginning. I have a dream that my 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. And then he speaks slowly. I say to you today, my friends. And then he gives that pause, and that is very important. Pausing is important after substantial statements, very key statements, and giving the audience time to think is important. And your interaction through movement is key too. Here we don't mean that you have to walk fast back and forth on the stage, as we have commonly witnessed in presentations and speeches. I'd say we are talking about appropriate movements. It can be using gesture. It's also about your facial expression. Your facial expression is very important. It can be about going once to one side of the stage, or where you're speaking, or going closer to the audience sometimes and going back and forth. But it has to be settled. It shouldn't be noticed so easily. They should feel that the audience should feel that you are connecting with them by doing that. And part of your presentation should be entertainment. If you are entertaining them, they are going to listen to you until the end. If you're not entertaining them, they are not going to listen to you until the end. Remember, our retention rate is very low as human beings, so you have to entertain them. Show enthusiasm, that's one way to do that. Humor where appropriate, when you have something to share with them, are very important. So, moving on to organizing a presentation. What do you think are the key parts of a typical presentation? Can you type them below? What are the key parts of a typical presentation? A standard presentation. What components should a standard presentation include? Okay. And if you've done that already, then you might think about the order, which component comes first and which one comes at the end. So the first thing to think about, not the first thing actually, so the components are this: body, introduction, question and answer, and conclusion and call to action. Now, I'll give you a couple of seconds to choose to reorder these stages, which comes first and second and third and fourth. Okay. Introduction comes first. It is the hook. It's where you grab your audience attention. It's where you get them interested in listening to you. Very important. It comes at the beginning. The body, the main message, the content, the detail comes second, and you make conclusions and you call for actions and you leave time for question and answer. Well, let's look at them one by one. First is introduction. And introduction, like I said earlier, grabs your audience attention. Introduction again is where you tell your audience the purpose of the presentation. The purpose or focus of the presentation should clearly be communicated. In the body, you explain and sustain interest. You provide examples, data to support your case. Very important, as your presentation has to be persuasive and make the audience act upon your call for action at the end. And you have this conclusion with call for action. You resolve, recap, remind of key points. And you leave them with a call to action. This is what we mean. It should be a snappy. You might have a snappy statement at the end where you tell the audience what you want them to do with what you have told them. The conclusion is the repetition of the introduction, in other words. So in the introduction, you might say, I will discuss it, I will tell you about this, or if it's an informative presentation, you might say, I will tell you this, I'll tell you that, and then you might say at the conclusion, I have told you that, I have mentioned this, I have talked about this or that. So it's a recap somehow, or you might remind, in other words, the key points to the audience so that they remember what has been discussed. And when you ask them for call, when you call them for action, then they understand what, and they are most likely to act upon it. Right. And you should first, at the beginning, mention that it's generally advisable to leave the question and answer part to the end. There will always be questions in the middle, but they might distract you from your organization, basically how your presentation is organized and everything. So, and the message. So it's better to leave the questions for later. and invite the audience to contribute and pre-plan. This is very important, actually. Before your presentation, you might need to write down what questions your audience might have. Anticipate. And also, not only anticipate and leave it, come up with resolution, explanations, examples, responses, perspectives. And then when the question comes, you don't panic. So preparation is key to really not panicking when you get asked important questions. So the last point we're going to cover for today is signposting. So presentation language, basically. We talked about preparation. We talked about delivery. If your language is not so clear, it's less likely that you achieve clarity and understandability, so that everything you say is not maybe understood. So you need to glue everything you say, and the way to glue the different things you say is by using these signposting languages. So signposting language is important, like I just said. So for what purpose would someone use the signposting language below? So I'd just like you to tell me the purposes. The purposes are paraphrasing, analyzing, summarizing, and sequencing. I'm giving you some examples here. You've got 4 of them, 4 signposting expressions. To put it in another way, to start with, then, thirdly, after that, what is the purpose? What is the purpose of these expressions? So it's like matching 1 to 4 with A to D. You may type your answers below, please. Okay. Good. So the first one, to put it another way, you are paraphrasing, you are repeating. So sometimes you paraphrase, saying the same thing in another way. That's paraphrasing. So that's the purpose. To start with, then, thirdly, after that, you are sequencing. This comes first, then this, then this. Let's consider this in more detail. Here, you are analyzing. And last but not least, finally, let me remind you of some of the issues we've covered. Here you are summarizing as evident in the statement. So let's look at some phrases for you to take away before ending this session. So for providing clarification, you use paraphrasing. To put it in another way, and then you might say you complete the statement. In other words, in a sense that this means, in a sense, what this means is, you might also use sequencing, signaling a new point or concluding for the purpose of sequencing. And you might say, that's all I have to say about and this is when you make conclusion at the end of a statement or something, or a part. Moving on now to the next point. You are basically, when you use these words, you are gluing what has been said with what will be said. If not glued well, it affects clarity. And make sure you do that. To start with, after that, analyzing to add depth and making recommendations. Let's consider this in more detail. Like I said earlier, the significance of this is, why is this important? So you are beginning to analyze something here. And you may summarize, basically recap, emphasis, and also at the same time, call for action. Finally, allow me to remind you of some of the issues we've covered. In conclusion, in short, to sum up, rather than simply saying what you are summing up, it's good to use these phrases at the beginning, like I said, to glue what has been said with what you're going to say. I'll conclude very briefly by saying, and then you might continue like that. Right, that's the end of the lesson, but we have a new product coming, a very flexible English course for different levels from beginner to advanced. So please contact our customer service to register, or you might want to register now by maybe clicking the link below in the chat box, or you might use this QR code to take you to the inquiry form. And once you complete the inquiry form, then our customer service will get back to you and will give you more information on our upcoming General English My Class courses, as well as our professional skills courses. Okay. If you've got any question, if you don't have time and you want to type your name, you may also type your name below. And thank you, Hunde Fike. I just read your comment. The presentation is quite clear and important. Thank you very much. Can you please post the presentation slide along, you mean? Unfortunately, I can't attach or post the presentation slides, company policy, but you may watch the video again. It is recorded, and you can go back to our Facebook page and find it there and watch, review, and register, join us, and learn and improve with us. A quick reminder to all of you to join our social media sites: Facebook, British Council Ethiopia, Instagram, British Council ET, and Twitter at ET British. Okay. The session has ended, and great having you all today. Thank you very much for staying tuned with us. We'll have this fortnightly, every 2 weeks. So please join me every 2 weeks from 6:30 to 7. Thank you, and we'll see you soon. Bye.